Here we are with Paprika Steen, the celebrated Scandinavian actress from Denmark, who is starring in a new movie called Applause. We have our poster right there, Paprika. And you play one of the great roles that I think any actor would want to play, which is a troubled actor. You are the star of a stage version of Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, and as you play that role, you have come out of rehab. You're a recovering alcoholic, and you are trying to reconnect with your two children from, it seems, a slightly bitter divorce. So can you talk about, first of all, how this role came around? Was it written especially for you?
It was. My husband produced this movie. It was his first movie in his company. He just made this company, and he found these two guys, the director and the writer, and wanted to do something with them. And then first of all, because they were both newcomers and first directors and first time director and writer, and so they started out wanted to do a short, like about a stand-up comedian with breast cancer. And so I had to meet these guys. We met in our kitchen, and we were talking all night. And then, I didn't know who they were, and I mean, I said hello to them, but I didn't know who they were. And as the night went along, we just found out that we had so much in common in taste, and everything we dreamed about was the same thing, and what we wanted to do. So I said to them, whatever you want to do, I'm just completely confident and I'm trusting you with, whatever. So, and time went on, and this script just developed, and suddenly it became a movie about her, but they had me in mind, Thea, yeah. And so that's, within a year, it just, the stand-up comedy went away, then the breast cancer went away, the alcoholism came in instead, the kids, so that's what happens when you work on a story. It probably sometimes takes place in China and it ends up in, India, and it's weird, but that's how it is.
I would say ferocious is a mild word to describe Thea. She seems to be a lioness. I mean, she is given to these outbursts of temper. She's physically very capable, and yet she's so vulnerable. Can you talk about how, I guess, did you pattern her off after somebody you knew? Is it in any way or shape autobiographical in that it was set, on you, written for you expressly? And you have done Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, I understand, to great acclaim in Denmark.
That was 6 questions. I'll start with the first one. First of all, it's not about me. I have never been an alcoholic. I've never been a drug addict. But I'm an actress. And I grew up in an artistic bohemian home. And I watched a lot of my family and their friends, and so I haven't said too much that I was very inspired by them. And that's why I'm completely on the clean path, because I didn't want to go there. The Martha thing came up like they wanted some footage from me from stage, and first it wasn't like going to be Virginia Woolf, because it's one of the most protected plays. You can't, so they wanted just to shoot it and mute the talk and just watch me, breathe, and because you can't really fake the real stage acting. It's like the makeup and the sweat and the voice. It's just it's just hard to fake that, because I'm playing in front of these 800 people every night. So they filmed the whole play with 3 different cameras. And
an actual performance.
Yeah, that was like 8 months before we started shooting Applause.
Now, was this while you were doing a run of the play, or was this?
This is true.
Or it wasn't specifically for this film.
No.
One performance set up. Okay.
It was isolated.
Yes.
And
okay.
they just wanted to come and film. So they had me on it. They didn't even know if they were going to use it. They just. I did this play 8 months before I started shooting, so I said, okay, let's do that, fine. Well, they took, they had to talk me into it. I wasn't thrilled about it at the beginning. And then the editors just fell more and more in love with this that he saw, and when we started shooting Applause, and he was editing, like after 2 weeks he started editing, I think that Martha and Thea sort of became this weird, togetherness with them. I don't know why, but of course it's because it's me, and you only have that many ways in you that many phases in you. So it was an accident, and so they edited the movie, and we shot the movie, and there were like 6 minutes of Virginia Woolf in it, and my husband, who was the producer, was like, "Are you crazy? You're not gonna get,
Edward Albee.
Are you, But in some way, we knew a guy called Gary Springer, who knew somebody who knew somebody who knew somebody, and for some reason we had the rights to use these 6 minutes.
Wow. So the movie opens with Thea on stage as Martha, but we don't know that.
No.
We think it's who she says, who is the only person I ever loved? Mm-hmm. I suppose it's George, my husband. Mm-hmm. And as she goes along, mm-hmm. some people in the audience, like myself, will all of a sudden have a little light bulb go on saying, this seems awfully like Martha and George in Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. And then we see her walk off stage and berate her poor young assistant incessantly through the whole movie. So it sets up this thing beautifully, but there are all of these echoes between Martha and Thea,
and All About Eve, and Opening Nights, and whatever
the Cassavetes film Opening Night,
it's and All About Eve. It's the dresser and the bitter star. There's so many echoes of actually old American good culture. Film culture. And there's also a little Fosse in it, like Little Lenny, or, there's a lot of stuff in it. But it's nothing that I knew until I saw it. I didn't think about it. I mean, I was thinking a little bit about All About Eve when we did the scenes in the wardrobe, but, I'm not Bette Davis. It's not, 50 years ago. So,
no, it's very contemporary.
Yeah.
And one of the wonderful things about it is it doesn't seem like we've just had burlesque open in the United States, which seems to be a very retro, kind of old-fashioned throwback to something that might have been done 50 years ago.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
Thea seems to be very much a contemporary woman.
Very modern.
With her, and like I said before, with her strength. She mm-hmm. fights with her husband. She brings this gift to her husband's new wife, this espresso machine, and the woman is a psychologist, and she goes, I can't take this, and she goes, you will take. I mean, can you talk how you saw her as a conflicted person? Is she?
Well, I wanted.
Is she crazy?
No, not at all. She's very strong. She's very cynical. She's very gifted. She's very intelligent, but she has this soft spot for alcohol. And whatever drug addict you are, for other people, you always uncertain of where, if you're with somebody who's really nice when they get drunk and then suddenly they snap into evilness, or they're not drunk, they're sober, and they have the same kind of nerve going about them. You never know which direction they're going, and so she comes with this present to be, nice, but she's also a little like intimidating, or maybe a lot intimidating, by demanding her to take the gift, and that is a good picture of, I think, people who are under influence of drugs or alcohol all the time and can't get back to the center of who they are. They're just all their emotions. They have like no boundaries. Yeah, that's the whole thing. Also, when I'm with the kids, you never know if she's even though everything's positive, you still have this sort of tone underneath that what's going to happen.